I feel like that's the natural finale of this video, is seeing if it can test my weight. In 3, 2, 1. When you think of 3D printed furniture, what comes to mind? Maybe it's straight pieces of wood held together with clunky 3D printed connectors, or big blobby extrusions of plastic in primary colors. While these designs are an interesting proof of concept, they're not necessarily pieces of furniture that I want to have in my house. And as strange as it might seem, I'm hiking through the forest today to show you that 3D printed furniture doesn't have to be ugly. So I just walked by this stump, which to me looks like it could be kind of a cool table base, but obviously this thing is huge, rotten, and sunk into the ground. But with 3D scanning, I think we can actually use this thing. Now, 3D scanners are pretty expensive, but I've been using this iPhone app called Polycam, which allows you to use your phone camera as a 3D scanner. You basically take a ton of photos from various distances and angles, and the software stitches it together into a 3D model. I wanna make sure we get every nook and cranny. Oh my God, it's so buggy. I should have worn bug spray. So I think that stump could oh my God, my allergies too. So I think that stump could definitely work, but I want to keep walking a bit to see if we find anything better. I just found this thing, which has a really cool organic shape to it. It has this big cavity in the middle. I think I can brave the bugs to get one more scan. I mean, after you get a certain amount of bug bites, it's just like your one giant bug bite anyway. I feel like this is what I've been searching for all along. Tons of texture. Oh my God, there's bugs flying into my mouth. So this app works by uploading your scans to a server. Let's go home, get on some Wi-Fi, and see what we got. So I ended up taking 4 scans of 4 different stumps. Let's see the results. The scans actually give us photo data in addition to a mesh, but in Fusion 360, we only have the mesh. That's all we need for 3D printing. So here is our first scan. And man, I am blown away with the level of detail just a phone camera captures. Like, look how many triangles are in here. That is absolutely amazing. Number 2, a completely different shape. This one's a lot skinnier. We have this really cool cavity in the middle that kind of reminds me of Lord of the Rings or some like fantastical fortress. Number 3, this one to me looks like it could be the base of a dining table, being a lot wider. And number 4, again, such an amazing level of detail. So which one to go with? So after my initial excitement with these scans, I realized that I don't love any of these options for a table base. They're all kind of blobby. They're not a recognizable organic shape. I want something that's a little more spider-like and elegant, and if I were to 3D print any of these stumps, I would have to use so much resin to make a table of any appreciable size. I want something that's more slender and spider-like, kind of like a tree. And so I looked out the window of my studio, and what did I immediately see but the perfect tree to 3D scan for a table base. So I went outside, scanned it, and check this out. This thing is so sweet. This is the look I was going for. It's organic looking. You immediately see nature when you see this shape. This is why you sleep on ideas, because if I had just rushed into this yesterday, I would have been 3D printing a massive stump. But when you give yourself a little bit of time, you find the right decisions. So first things first, I want to get rid of some of this extra geometry here that we don't really need. The more triangles we get rid of, the faster Fusion will run, and the less of a chance that my computer will catch on fire. So currently, this model is just a surface. If we go to the bottom, you can see that it's entirely hollow, and there's also a bunch of holes in the top. To actually modify this shape, we need to turn it into a solid body. Oh my gosh, there are so many triangles. It just looks like a giant black mass. Oh, wow, I hope my computer doesn't crash. So I had to reduce the number of polygons pretty substantially because Fusion just kept crashing, but I kind of really like how this looks. The combination of organic shape and low poly I think this is gonna look awesome 3D printed. All right, I'll create a new sketch and draw a circle around the trunk of the tree. Turn that into a donut. And then if we extrude up the outer part, cut away that part of the base, there we go. Now we got a more clean looking base. Ah, that is awesome. This thing's gonna be so cool. So how high do I want this table? Where's my tape measure? I think, take a little field trip over to the couch. So if we're using it right here, the top of the couch is at 24 inches. And then the top will have a bit of a thickness. So let's try to make it 23 inches tall. Let's see if that takes an unreasonable amount of resin. So I'm a little concerned about the stability of this base. If we look at it from the top, you can see that most of the branches would support a tabletop in this direction. And if we put a circular tabletop on this, we wouldn't have much supporting it right here or right here. But I had an idea. If we take our tree and rotate it around the center axis, look at that. We can add a bunch of branches in the direction where we need them. I really like the twisted look of this. This actually looks even cooler. So I started chopping up this tree because I have to print it in sections. This cube right here represents the build volume of the printer. So each print has to fit inside of this volume. Obviously the tree is a lot bigger than that. So I cut off this little piece here. It's about 210 millimeters long, 40 millimeters in diameter. About that much in diameter. 15 hours and 43 minutes to print. That one little piece, and I have to print all of this. That's unreasonable. I can't, like, it's technically possible, but it would take forever. I'm gonna be honest, like when I saw that, part of me just wanted to abandon this project and do something else. But I really like this idea. I really want to do it. I just think that a 2-foot tall side table with a completely 3D printed base was a little ambitious. We got to compromise. If I cut the height in half, if I make it 12 inches tall, that should cut the volume by a factor of 8. So the print time will be cut by a factor of 8, possibly more because I could do it in less pieces. It would be a much shorter side table, but that's fine. I mean, it could be like a plant stand or kind of like a Japanese tea room style. I think that's what we have to do because I just didn't realize how slow resin printing is.
24 hours later.
All right, I shrunk down the tree, although it's still pretty big, and split it into pieces. Let's start printing. My vision for this piece is that it will look like a crystal, so I'm gonna print it with transparent resin on the Heygears Ultracraft Reflex. Heygears is the sponsor for this video, and this truly is an incredible machine. One of my favorite things about this printer is how you load the resin. You don't have to pour it into the tank and risk spilling it everywhere. You just slide the bottle directly into the printer, the resin flows into the tank, and it's automatically replenished as it's used. This table base is by far the biggest thing I've ever printed in resin, but this is a big printer, and I was able to make the entire thing in just 4 prints. Now, these were big prints. The longest one took almost 24 hours. So there's a crew working on the power lines down the road right now, and I am terrified that the power is gonna go out. That really long print, the almost 24-hour one, has 4 hours left. If the power goes out and this thing fails, I'm gonna be so mad. I should have hooked the printer up to a power backup. Let that be a lesson for you. Even if this doesn't fail, I should have done that.
3 hours later.
All right, I guess they didn't drop any tree branches on power lines because we have a successful 24-hour print. Look at this thing. This is absolutely incredible. I think I maxed out the Z-axis on this to the millimeter. This is the tallest thing that you can print on the Ultracraft Reflex. Woo! This is a beginner-friendly printer, but it's made with high-quality parts to give you commercial-grade results. Heygears provides a one-stop production platform and automates the entire process. You don't have to guess at how long to wash and cure your pieces. The slicer automatically calculates these parameters and sends them wirelessly to the washing and curing machines, the same way that you would send a 3D print file. Resin 3D printing has a stereotype of being messy, but not only have they thought of that with the resin filling mechanism, the washing machine works in this really cool way that lets you avoid fishing around in a bath of isopropyl alcohol. It's a dual chamber system, so you're only ever reaching into a dry bucket, which I really appreciate. The curing machine uses dual UV wavelengths from 3 directions to ensure uniform curing and a strong final product. That's really important for me because this table has got to work as a table. The Ultracraft Reflex uses real-time, intelligent, layer-by-layer print analysis and optimization, and Heygears has years of experience in the 3D printing industry. They've made dental equipment, orthotics, prosthetics, so you know they're legit. Honestly, Heygears has been so great to work with. I'm kind of a noob when it comes to resin 3D printing, and they've been super helpful in answering all of my questions. Thank you, Heygears, for sponsoring this video. Now let's go see if this table works. I printed the tree in 6 pieces, and everything is held together with slots and pegs. Slots in there, pegs right there. But last night, I decided to print 1 extra piece. So these 2 pieces formed the stump, and I hollowed out the inside to save on filament. But as I was printing, I started worrying about the really thin area, since this is the base of the tree and it's gonna be holding all of the weight. So I printed this piece, which pretty much fills in the center and makes it the same as if I had just printed it solid anyways. And then this just drops in, perfect fit. Wait, what? Why? Oh no! I did it again. I swear I do this on every single 3D printing project. I must have mirrored one of these before printing them, maybe to get it to fit on the build plate. That's why it doesn't match up perfectly. See how there's like a little mismatch in the seam right there? That does not line up right. Honestly, it's probably fine. I think at any sort of distance, you won't even be able to see it. The problem is gonna be getting the 3 slots in here to line up with the 3 pegs on top. I might have to trim down one of the pegs. It's all right, we can get through this. Not a big deal in the grand scheme of the project. To make sure that everything is held together nice and strong, I'm gonna be gluing them together with the clearest 5-minute epoxy I could find. Let's start assembling. All right, to fix my silly mirroring mistake, I should just have to shave down one of these pegs a tiny bit. Oh, it's so close. You know what? I might just have to saw off that peg completely. I already have 2 other pegs holding it on. I don't think this one is necessarily gonna add a lot of strength, so let's just, boom. Now I just have to hold this for 5 minutes. Oh my gosh, this is painful. I don't really want to use CA glue since this is transparent resin, and that can cause some discoloration. It can make like a green tinge, but this is terrible. Oh my gosh, this is painful. All right, the weight of this, even as the epoxy is mostly cured, is pulling it over. So I need some sort of rigid bond. Add a little CA glue and hope it doesn't discolor too much. Where did that water just drip from? Is that sweat? Oh, I think it's curing. Ooh, that might be the move. Just adding a bit of super glue around the outside to act as clamps while the epoxy cures. There we go, no sagging.
Now give me the beat.
Beautiful. Now we just need a tabletop. So I ended up making 2 pieces. This disc is made of hard maple and it will form the base of the table, add some extra stability and style, and this walnut disc will be the tabletop. I included 3 pegs on the stump so I can mechanically attach it to the base. So it's pretty small, but this thing looks so cool, especially with light shining through it. I think if you were to ever make a table like this, having underlighting to go through the transparent parts would look so cool. But how much weight can this actually hold? A plant. No problem. Ringing success on the first try. What about a cat? Does it support the weight of a cat? No problem. What can we do that's a little heavier? What about 10 of my engineering textbooks? No problem. All right, we got a suggestion from the peanut gallery. The heaviest kitchen appliance. No problem. Who said 3D prints aren't strong? What about a Morley?
Wait, Morley.
What? Wait, what?
I really love this. I think it would be great for a cake stand for our upcoming wedding. And could you possibly not break it?
But I gotta try it. I feel like that's the natural finale of this video, is seeing if it can test my weight.
Okay.
All right, it had to happen. Safety first.
Did it have to happen?
Oh my God, I'm nervous.
My beautiful cake stand.
I really like this thing and it took so much work. Like Eden knows how much work this took.
This took a lot of work. This was a lot of stress.
It's a lot of stress, but I gotta do it.
But do you?
Here we go, you ready? In 3, 2, 1. All my weight's on it. Both feet. Eden, pan around to show that there's no wires or anything. This is real. It is supporting my weight.
My cake stand lives. Let's
get it.
My cake stand lives.
It survived. Let's go. Woo. Shout out to Hey Gears. This Ultra Print Pat 10 transparent resin is no joke. This stuff can support a 160-pound Morley. So, quick sidebar, if you notice that the tree looks a little blue, you're not seeing things. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, I'm a bit of a noob when it comes to resin 3D printing, and I did not follow Hey Gear's guidelines with curing the pieces. But this is very easy to fix. You can just take your transparent resin pieces into the sunshine, leave it there for a couple hours, and that extra bit of UV exposure should cause that blue color to fade right away. How's your heart rate?
That was an emotional finale.
I'm so sweaty. If you would like to see...
If anyone at home watching is like, was that real? Yes, I am smelling it.
I'm glistening. If you would like to see what we're up to behind the scenes, you can gain exclusive access to the behind the scenes Instagram page by supporting this channel on Patreon. You can also get access to our Discord community. And I want to give a special thank you to my top supporter on Patreon, my mom, Kathy Kurt. Thanks, Mom. I love you.